Welcome to the Q. My name is Gummi, and today's guest we have Gloria Becerra.
Hi, Gummi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Gloria, I know you're in teaching, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
This is my 25th year in education. I work for the public school system. I work for United Independent School District. Um, Aside from being an early childhood teacher, I've had the opportunity to teach at the community college level. I've also had the opportunity to teach at the university level. So these past 25 years have been wonderful to me. They have been. I've learned a lot. Um, not only from my students, but also from my colleagues, because uh, if you're in education, there's a lot of collaboration going on, and well, that's how we become better, right? Sharing, and that's how we grow.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate to work with wonderful people and wonderful principals that have given me the opportunity to grow. And every time I took on a task, I had the people there to support me, and that has helped me and molded me, all this time.
So, in your time of teaching, so you teach elementary.
Correct.
Okay. All your years you've taught elementary?
I've taught 12 years in the pre-kinder,
Okay.
and this is my 13th year teaching kindergarten. Now, uh, my position, yes, I am a classroom teacher, but uh, United Independent came up came up with a plan 20 years ago where, because I work in a school that's outside of Laredo, they were having a difficult time recruiting teachers that experienced teachers that would lead the teachers in their grade level. So UISD developed these positions that were called Pathfinder positions. At the time, the requirement was that you would be you'd have at least a minimum of 5 years of experience, and preferably a master's degree in education. Because I did meet the qualifications, I applied and I have held that position ever since. So basically, what I do is I supervise the staff, and I'm talking about the professionals and the paraprofessionals, um, and I give them the headlines. Basically, it all comes down to this: I am accountable for their performance. So the way it works is, whatever situation the teachers encounter, they come to me first. It's my job to solve it. Same situation with paraprofessionals. If they have any concerns, well, that's my job. It's my job to solve it. Now, if the situation, I feel that, what, I can't take care of this, then I approach my principal. But that's what, I serve on all the committees at school. My contract is different. I work extra days. I work longer hours. And basically, I guess I pressure myself in that sense, because I think that as teachers, we always have someone that impacts us in a way, and we end up selecting this as our career.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that it was my kindergarten teacher, that I just fell in love with, and I thought, wait a minute, I think I want to do this. And sure enough, um, that's how I ended up pursuing a degree in education.
So let me ask you this: when you, as a teacher, obviously there's a certain amount of stress that we undergo, right? That we deal with, but you have all these added responsibilities. So how do you, like? Does that add more stress to your life? And if it does, how do you handle that?
It is stressful. It's I know that some people are under the impression that, oh, you're a teacher, you get off early. No, I think my position just expands a little bit, you know, beyond that. So if anything happens in the area where I teach at, whether there's power outages, because it does happen, there's power outages, and our campus is one of the ones that's used as a shelter. Well, I'm notified, in the morning, and then it's my job to inform the people that I supervise, right? So I don't think it ever stops. It doesn't stop. I think I can honestly say maybe like about a month out of the school year, uh, can I actually say, okay, I disconnect myself, you know? And I think that once you teach, you establish this bond with the students where you're always going to say, oh, he was mine. Oh, she was mine, and it's constant. It's constant. So no, it doesn't stop. And but I'm used to it, you know. At one point, I'll be honest, when I was, because like teaching at the university, I was still doing my full-time job with the district, and it became overwhelming, especially like during the time of COVID. I love teaching face to face.
Yeah.
So I was teaching face to face, and then COVID comes along and everything shuts down. And I had to finish uh, both, the work with UISD and the work with the university remotely. And I was not happy. I thought, wait a minute, I don't like this. I like being around people, you
Yeah.
know. Yes, during the day it's little people, but in the evening, that's what I liked. Just, being around my students, being able to have those good conversations. So I was not happy. I felt overwhelmed. I always kept reminding myself, I mean, Gloria, you got to do this. You got to do this. You made a commitment. Those 60 students that you have at TEMU, you know, like need you. You can't fail. Uh, and of course, I completed the semesters and successfully. Uh, but yes, it does. It does add pressure. You know, it does add pressure. And just being devoted to the profession,
Yeah.
it carries on.
Hmm.
You can't disconnect. So I'm enjoying it now. You know, before I retire. So,
And because I know that you have children, right?
uh-huh.
How have you been able to balance, your obviously you're dedicated to your career, right? But then you also have kids at home.
Right. Well, now they're grown, so they're adults. But at one point, uh, it wasn't easy. I was a single mom, uh, and I had to balance my career and being a mother. And I knew that I could not neglect either or. So was it tough? Yeah, it was. I mean, I'd go home and, okay, well, forget about you being the teacher because you got to do homework with who depends on you. But it can be done. It can be done. Sometimes I've met people along the way that, women to be exact, and who are hesitant and who find themselves in an awful relationship, and who are hesitant to leave the relationship because they're afraid that they're not going to handle being a single parent.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is, if you are a happy person, you are going to do better in every aspect of your life, both professionally and both in your personal life. And that's one thing that kept me focused. uh, my children, were my inspiration. Can honestly say that they were my inspiration, and no matter how difficult it got, you know, they were the best part. Uh, Even pursuing an education, they were my drive behind everything. I always knew, even when at a younger age, I always knew I had to get an education. I My family, I come from a very humble beginning. Neither one of my parents had an education. My father went to school to sixth grade. My mother went to school only to third grade. Her parents were migrant workers, actually, and working in the fields. It was either, well, you work in the fields or you go to school. And she only went to school to third grade. But I will say that there was a lot of love, there was a lot of support. And my father was the one who kept on reminding us that we needed to study. We needed to study. And because we saw both of them struggle so much financially, they he would remind me. My dad would say, you don't want to struggle the way your mother and I are struggling.
Yeah.
Uh, so every time I felt like, oh, you know what? It's 4-year degree. It's a lot. And I was going part-time because I had to juggle work, and I always remembered my dad's words. And this is another one of the obstacles. My father passed away. I was 18 years old. I was just barely going to start college. And my dad passed away. So here we were, because I have two brothers. It was two brothers, myself with my mother. Here we were left alone to struggle. That's reality. I can honestly say I look back now and I think, yes, it was tough, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Having my father pass away at an early age, just I kept on thinking along the way, like he would be proud of me and he would be proud of me. And I think my mom did an excellent job with what little she had, because she had very little. Hispanic families do not prepare for situations like that. My family was, my parents were too busy about just with making ends meet. They were not worried about preparing for the day either one of them was gone. You
Yeah.
know, I think now that, we're educated and we prepare ourselves, but my parents were not. So there was, yes, my dad was gone, but there was nothing uh, left for us to lean on, you know, speaking financially. So it was it was just what my mother could do. And yes, we had all started working at an early age, but it was difficult for the for my siblings and I. But it's the drive.
Yeah.
It's the drive that gets you through life. I would think, because at one point I was even taking classes on Saturdays, before, when I was an undergraduate student. And I would think, well, it's either I struggle now for a little, or I struggle for the rest of my life. What do I want? A few years ago, and I've done it 3 times. The Texas Education Agency selects uh, teachers to help them analyze the questions that go into the certification exams. And you meet as a committee. What you do is you actually revise the questions that are going to go into the certification exam for teachers that are going to take that test here in the state of Texas. And I was I, at the time, I didn't know how many participants they were going to be. But when we met, I was actually very flattered, and because I was the only Hispanic on there, and I thought, yay, one of us is here to represent all of us. And the position in itself, I had to apply for it. It was not. I was contacted by them, and I applied, and I was one of the ones that was selected. So it was a really good experience. And just recently, they contacted me again. So I don't know whether I'm going to do it again or not, because that is aside from my job.
So when you get these, you're selected to the committee, you've whatever accolades you've earned so far. How does that? What does that do for you as far as like personal gratification?
I
Is it something that you can you do you tell your daughter like, look what I've done, you should do the same thing?
I all the time, uh, during during the time that I was in school, I I was doing it for them. And when I went back to get a master's degree, not only was it for self gratification, I wanted to impact them. I wanted them to see, hey, my mom was able to do this. I wanted them to be proud of who their mother was.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. Um, and they know, they know very well that things are not easy, because at one point they did see me struggling, but now they pretty much think, well, you know what? Whatever it is, mom can solve it. And they're right. Mom can solve it.
And so, what other struggles have you had or have you had to endure, and what did you really learn from those struggles?
One of the things that I faced, uh, actually, when I became a single parent, at that time I was teaching at the community college, right? And I was teaching some evening courses. So I had to decide. My son was 7 years old at the time, and I had to decide, okay, what are you going to do, Gloria? I would get off from UISD. Uh, Maybe I had like an hour in between jobs, and then work, till 9:30 in the evening. Um, I had to decide, okay, are you going to be a mom, or are you just, you know, going to be one of those people that are too busy with your careers, and I'm going to have to, you know, push my children aside? And I had to put things on a scale and say, okay, um, what is it? You know, so even though my mom, who has been wonderful all this time, my mom, told me and encouraged me, go ahead and stay there. Go ahead and stay there. I'll help you. I think the mother in me felt guilty because I was away from them, from away from home. Period.
Yeah.
So much time that the next time that I had that I was offered a job there, it was different. I became their, at one point, LCC had uh, private summer camps. So I became their curriculum writer. So I was working their camps in the summer. So I would hire the people, I would write the curriculum, I would oversee the program, um, everything that it entailed, food program, and it was a lot of fun. It was a very, very good experience. Uh, but that I was content with because my children would be able to attend the summer camp, as regular students, and I was working I was writing the curriculum. Uh, so I wasn't really taking time away from them because they were enjoying the experience.
Yeah. So, would you say that your mom has had a role in the way you deal with stuff? Because you said that she didn't really have anything, but she was so dedicated to your success, like her children's successes, that, like, did that impact you? And then, is that, in other words, what have you really gotten from your mom that you have carried on with your life, into your life?
I've never been able to understand um, how in the world my mother figured it out. I don't know. And she would always say, God provides,
Yeah.
right? But I think about it and I wonder how in the world did my mother pull through? Especially because I see the big weight that having like an education has, how was she able to do it with so little, if not just nothing? I learned from her that it could be done, and it didn't matter. It was going to get done. I have a younger brother that that went to law school, and we we didn't have the means, the financial means of of paying the way for him. You He did it on his own. He figured it out. I remember all mothers show their love in a different way, right? But I remember when when he was in law school, I would go visit my mom, and she would have a box in the dining room. She had a box in the dining room, and she would be filling it up with groceries, like Mexican, like non-perishables. And when my brother would come, I would open the freezer and she would have frozen tortillas and salsa and Ziplocs and everything. And when my brother would come visit, he would take all these things that she had slowly accumulated for him. And, little things like that just are a reminder. They're a reminder of what a person can do and accomplish. It doesn't matter what life throws at you. Like I said, I'm glad it was like that. I'm glad it was like that because it taught me that, hey, it doesn't matter. It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. So now we just spoil her. I think that's something that's beautiful. I just think that time is not something that should be wasted.
Yeah.
We have to enjoy every day. We cannot dwell on what could have been or what was. We need to focus on the present. We need to focus on what we have right now, and how, remind ourselves that we're very fortunate and we're very blessed, and that just when we think we have it, you know difficult, there's always someone that has it worse.
Yeah.
So if we see things that way, I think we enjoy our life uh, even more. Even, yesterday I was having a conversation with my brother. I mentioned to you that I have two brothers. Uh, my oldest brother is actually very sick, and he's waiting for a heart. He's waiting for a heart. He has congestive heart failure. We found out about a year ago. So uh, there's times where he's very sentimental, and I completely understand because he knows the possibility of maybe living 10 years max if he were to get a heart. Um, and yesterday he was very emotional, and he told me something, and I knew when I saw him. I thought, okay, it wasn't a good day for him. He told me something. He said, Gloria, I want you to live like a very long life. And I said, yeah, I want to do that too. And I want to enjoy every single day. And he said, well, I have a time frame. I said, I know. I said, but you need to wake up every single day and you need to think, okay, I woke up, I'm here. And you always have to think, well, what if today is a day? What if today is the day that I get that call to go to the, transplant center? You always have to look forward to that every single day. And of course, it was a very emotional moment for both of us. But, you know, it doesn't matter how bad we have it. There's always someone who is in a way difficult
Yeah.
position, way worse than ours. Uh, so that has taken a toll. Uh, that took a toll. I It's been a year since he became very sick, and I think it took a toll on the entire family. Uh, but I can say that we've gotten over that already. Uh, we're just happy that he even qualified to get on the list, and we look forward to the day that it happens.
What words of advice would you give us if we want to give up on our dreams?
Well, this is probably going to sound a little bit feminist, but one thing I tell my daughter is, you need to get through school. You need to get through school. I don't care how long you've been with someone. If they mistreat you, you leave them. I do, I have to be honest. I do tell her, you leave them. You leave them. And the only way you can leave them is if you're able to stand on your own feet. You need to be able to support yourself. You need to be able to pay for your own home. You need to do this. And the only way you're going to do it is if you go through school. And, she told me, I remember she told me once, Mama, don't be so negative. Not everyone gets divorced. I said, no, I'm not being negative. I said, I'm being realistic. I said, what if, I'm your mom and I want you to have this beautiful life and I want you to marry someone that's wonderful to you. I said, but what if you don't go to school and he dies and you have children? What are you going to do? And she says, Mom, let's not talk about this. I said, no, no, it's true. What are you going to do? I said, you can't live off me, because you just can't. I already raised you all. That's it. You need to be able to do for yourself. So, yes, I know it sounds a little feminist, but that's reality. That's reality. And my boys, I tell them and I remind them that they need to be able to support a family. You're a man, so you need to be able to support a family. Uh, that's just the role. Yes, you might get married and you'll have your partner and you help each other, but the main responsibility is, you know, yours because you're a man. That's just the way it is. Um, and I think they're scared. They're probably not never going to get married because mom's been scaring them all this time, about their responsibilities but that's reality in life.
Yeah.
That's reality in life. And um, I've had students along the way, uh, like at the community college and, you know, at the university that have vented with me and, have told me, I might be a little late to class because I get out of work and I only have 20 minutes to get here. And you know what? I feel for them because I was once there. I was once there and I'm empathetic because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to juggle going to school. I know what it's like to juggle trying to maintain your GPA because that's the only way you're going to get into the, educator preparation program. You can't have low grades. Uh, couldn't get low grades because if not, uh, you would get penalized with financial financial aid
Yeah.
in the office. So all of those things have helped definitely, because I kept on thinking, well, you can't stop going to school because then you're going to have to pay your student loans, and you don't have a job. So there, stay in school, because that way you don't have to pay, right? And I couldn't drop my grades uh, because I knew that I was going to get in trouble with financial aid, and then I wouldn't get any assistance. So that just kept me on a straight line, you know. And I can proudly say that when I got my associates and my bachelor's and my master's, I had a I was a honors graduate, and I had like a 3.98 GPA even when I got a master's. So uh, it can be done. It's about dedication. It's about how badly you want something. It's it's about discipline. You have to be disciplined. You can't easily throw in the towel and say, you know what, this is too much for me. Uh-uh. No. If you want to better yourself, you're going to struggle, but the rewards will come after. They will. And you just have to be patient and disciplined about it.
Yeah. That's very true. It's always success is never easy.
Never.
It's not an easy road. So thank you so much for being here. It was very enlightening to listen to your story, to your listen to your journey. So yeah, thank you very much for the QLTX. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook. It's the QLTX THECUELTX. And thank you once again, Gloria, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.